Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our September IAC meeting. Again, live stream for all the public, and also we are virtual today, and we'll move on with our agenda. I think we'll go ahead and Cassandra, will you do a roll call, please, of the commission?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Avera is not here. Secretary Churchill
here.
Is here. Ms. Eberhardt
Here.
Mr. Gibbons
Here.
Mr. Casemeyer
Here.
Ms. Lala is not here. Mr. Lombardo was here. I expect he'll be back in a minute, Madam Chair. Secretary McCord.
Here, thank you.
And Dr. Salmon.
Here.
Madam Chair, you have 6 members and a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. And can you confirm that, Crystal?
Yes, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Well, again, good morning. We do not have any public comment. Is that correct, Bob?
That is correct. No public comment.
All right. So we're going to move on with the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the August 20th, 2020 minutes, and also the summary of the contract awards. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gibbons, and second was...
Second.
Who was the second?
Casemeyer.
Sorry, Senator Casemeyer. Thank you. So all in favor, please show or say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Crystal, can you verify the vote?
The vote has been ratified.
Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to part 2 of the agenda, which is the total cost of ownership presentation. So I'd like to invite Alex Donahue, who is Deputy Director of Field Operations, to present. And this is found on pages 17 through 27 of your agenda. So Alex, good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you. I'm going to present my screen in a moment. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. For those members of the public viewing this meeting via the internet, I'm Alex Donahue, IAC Deputy Director for Field Operations. With me today are Brett Moskowitz and Ben Kaplan, 2 of the IAC's 3 regional facilities managers who support our LEAs in their portfolio management work. Today, it's our pleasure and privilege to present to you information on the fundamental topic of total cost of ownership of school facilities. Total cost of ownership is important because LEAs and the counties and taxpayers that support them are on the hook for the costs of each school facility across their entire lifespan. For an asset to be affordable, it must not only be affordable to purchase, but also to own and operate over its entire lifespan. If a facility is not affordable to own and operate, it will decay due to insufficient maintenance. Its functionality, and therefore its value, will diminish early. And its functional lifespan will be shortened such that future taxpayers will have to step forward early and pony up the money required to renew or replace the worn-out facility. Our objective as a school facilities agency must be to help Maryland achieve a statewide portfolio of facilities that's both educationally effective and fiscally sustainable over time. Achieving fiscal sustainability requires applying available resources to the needs as efficiently and effectively as possible. We must remain focused on the long-term outcomes as we make decisions in the here and now. 2 concepts are central to this work: a portfolio management approach and a full understanding of the total cost of ownership of each facility over time and of the portfolio itself. Today, we will talk about total cost of ownership. LEAs in the state owe the public.
Good morning, Gloria Lala.
LEAs in the state owe the public full disclosure of the costs of ownership. Estimating total cost of ownership requires tallying up not just the costs to build a school facility, but all the other costs of owning the facility, including operating, maintaining, and eventually disposing of the facility at the end of its usable life. All of these costs add up to the total cost of ownership. And part of managing a portfolio of facilities is managing the TC of each facility and of the portfolio as a whole. Many, many decisions around a school facility can and must be informed by the total cost of ownership. School facilities are not set and forget assets. They require ongoing management across the facility's lifespan. It's reasonable to expect to get about 30 years from a school facility before a renewal through major renovation is needed, and then about another 30 years before it's time to replace the building. There are 4 primary phases in the facility's cycle of life: planning, design, construction, and operations and maintenance. The phases that are perhaps most visible to the public are the design and construction phases. However, these 2 phases take up only a short period of time in a facility's cycle of life, usually around 3 to 5 years, while operations and maintenance are ongoing for decades. Planning is also ongoing behind the scenes, and this work must increase, or should increase, as a facility approaches its end of life or the point in its life when both functionally and economically, going back to total cost of ownership, the facility should be replaced or renewed. Planning depends upon good, comparable data. Now I'd like to hand it over to Brett.
The approximate costs associated with each phase are represented in this slide. It's important to look at each phase's relative cost compared to the total cost of ownership. For our purposes here, we will leave the acquisition of a facility site, meaning the land, out of the calculation. Planning, which can include demographic studies, community involvement, and coordination with other public agencies, generally only amounts to a fraction of a percent. Design, however, includes architecture and engineering services, interior design, and landscape design, and may add up to another 3%. Construction, which includes site development, permitting, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, is clear a large component of the total cost. However, the largest component is by far operation and maintenance over the 30-year lifespan, during which a facility should serve its intended purposes before needing a renewal, which sometimes referred to as major renovation. Operations and maintenance includes heating, cooling, cleaning, and all maintenance, preventative, routine, and reactive or emergency maintenance. One of the largest components is capital maintenance, which we in Maryland have traditionally called systemics, and which other industries label maintenance CapEx. The National Council on School Facilities has defined operations to mean the services required to keep a facility clean, sanitary, and tidy such that its occupants are comfortable, healthy, and productive. It includes the provision of utilities such as fuel, electricity, water, and sewage, support services to assist occupants, and disposal and recycling of unnecessary structures, equipment, and trash. The cost of utilities deserves and has received much of our focus. Everyone agrees that custodial services are important and that custodians in many LEAs also perform maintenance. Support services include activities such as moving furniture and even running errands needed to support facility operations. These support services are often overlooked, but they can add up to a substantial drain on staffing capacity and compete with routine maintenance. The National Council on School Facilities has defined maintenance to mean the work required to keep a facility, plant, building, structure, ground facility, utility system, or other real property in such condition that it may be fully functional and continuously utilized for its expected lifespan, for its intended purpose, and at its maximum energy efficiency. This includes both routine and capital maintenance. Capital maintenance is work undertaken to replace roofs, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, site features, and many other building systems that have an expected lifespan that is often shorter than the 30-year point at which most building facilities require renewal or replacement. Some building systems have to be replaced several times before the overall facility's normal expected lifespan. If they are not replaced when needed, emergency maintenance costs greatly increase and facility reliable and health diminish. Capital maintenance is also required for improvements needed to properly support evolving educational programs and technology upgrades, such as we have seen happen in the area of lighting. The bottom line, operation and maintenance can easily make up more than half of the total cost of ownership over those 30 years. We cannot overemphasize the importance of early decisions in achieving fiscal sustainability. Decisions made during the planning and design phases at the beginning of a facility's life cycle, such as its location, shape, size, and functional relationships, can have significant consequences and can seriously constrain future generations. When considering a facility's educational specifications, perhaps the most consequential decision is the total square footage of the facility. The IAC's gross area baselines suggest a total building area of about 70,000 gross square feet for 580 elementary students. With construction, including the soft costs such as architectural, engineering, furniture, and equipment, costing nearly $400 per square foot, adding an extra 20,000 square foot to adds nearly $8 million of the upfront cost of the facilities. But that's not the end of the story. In addition to the $8 million construction cost premium, the 30-year cost of maintaining and operating the extra 20,000 gross square feet is another almost $8 million. On an annual basis for 30 years, the combined $15.8 million in total cost premium equates to more than half per year that can be spent on educational programs or services. Ben.
Good morning. Regardless of which taxpayer pocket, state or local, that $15.8 million comes from, upsizing of this nature across a portfolio can, in the aggregate, have a huge effect on the fiscal sustainability of that portfolio. The effect on the LEA will be to crowd out other needed projects in both the short and the long terms. The effect on the state will be to reduce the number of local projects in which the state can participate, not just for 1 year, but over many years. Over the course of 13 recent CIP cycles, the total local requests to the state for funding, shown on this chart in yellow, were on average more than double the state's allocations, which are shown on this chart in orange. So we know that there are unmet needs out there that are consistently not being addressed. And we know that the LEA's requests do not represent their total need. In 2018, the IAC surveyed the LEAs to understand their perception of their backlog needs, and the total was a staggering $26 billion. The strategy of portfolio management requires that we manage each dollar for each project today to bring down its total cost of ownership, so that collectively, the cost of ownership of our portfolio goes from increasing at approximately 1.6% per year, which is the average gross square footage increase over 45 years, to decreasing at this rate or faster. With this strategy, we will eventually be able to achieve equilibrium between available funds and the expected conditions and functions of our school facilities portfolios. The fiscal sustainability of Maryland's portfolio depends upon the fiscal sustainability of each LEA's portfolio. And the fiscal sustainability of each LEA's portfolio is directly affected by the fiscal sustainability of each facility that the LEA owns. Optimal portfolio management delivers the needed educationally sufficient school facilities at the lowest possible total cost of ownership. This involves managing both the total cost of ownership of existing facilities and the total cost of ownership being incurred with every new or renewed facility. Reducing the total cost of ownership at both levels frees up dollars to spend on other unmet needs in the LEA's existing backlogs, both capital and operating. For this reason, the IAC is augmenting its technical assistance to LEAs in their portfolio management and early planning of projects through the deployment of regional facility managers, or RFMs. Although the IAC currently only has 3 regional facility managers on staff, the intention is to eventually expand this team with 1 located in or near Western Maryland and 1 located on the Eastern Shore. The regional facility managers will increasingly assist LEAs by working with them as they frame their needs and vet potential solutions, both at the portfolio and project levels prior to project scoping. In support of good portfolio management, the IAC has been developing a stable of tools to support LEAs in optimizing the total cost of ownership of their facilities. First, the sufficiency standards adopted in May 2018 help LEAs identify the deficiencies in existing facilities that most affect teaching and learning so that they can obtain the greatest possible results for their limited capital improvement dollars. The IAC's upcoming statewide facilities assessment, the SFA, will apply these standards to the LEA facilities and will highlight the low-hanging fruit for LEAs in their quest to make their facilities better support teaching and learning. Second, the gray area baselines the IAC adopted in 2019 provide a reasonable starting point for LEAs as they size their new facilities to meet their needs while achieving a fiscally sustainable portfolio. Third, the total cost of ownership comparison tool helps LEAs compare the estimated total cost of ownership of various design options long before they select a specific solution and lock future generations of taxpayers into the long-term costs that come with a given design. In light of the competing needs within each portfolio, doing this sort of estimating upfront is absolutely essential for overall sustainability. Fourth, the IAC is working on building a tool that will help project the cost of each major building system in a facility over the upcoming years based upon both its actual condition and its predicted and actual life cycle costs. And now I'd like to turn it back over to Alex to close out.
Thanks, Ben. The lens of total cost of ownership is how we look at every portfolio and every project, because TCO is the key to fiscal sustainability for LEAs and therefore for the state. If we collectively do not know the total cost of ownership of our state's public school facilities and do not manage that cost to keep it within our available resources, we will end up leaving our children as taxpayers with a bill that they will have great difficulty paying. But if we manage the TCO of each facility and portfolio well, we will help those facilities support teaching and learning in the way that our public school children need. We're happy to stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you, Alex and team. And I would just like to make a comment here. There have been a couple of major things that the IAC has done over the last 5 years. The first was to adopt a differentiated maintenance schedule, which allowed us to work more focused on these counties that needed more assistance. And the second thing that I think that we've done that is going to be paramount for the future of school construction is this concept of total cost of ownership. I think these concepts are incredibly important as we move forward. And I want to just give my congratulations to Bob and the team for being able to articulate this concept so well in many of the subcommittees that we've had that have looked at this and have vetted it with a large number of stakeholders. This is really, really important. And so I just want to thank you for your work on this. I think the presentation was clear and certainly made the point. And now I'll open it up for questions from the IAC. Okay, I used adequate wait time and no one asked a question, so that must mean that the presentation was incredibly clear. So thank you, Alex. Appreciate all of your work on this. It was very, very informative. All right, now we're going to move on to the section 3 of our agenda today, which is the fiscal year 2020 maintenance annual report. We have Scott Snyder, who is the acting maintenance manager, who's going to present this section. And this section includes pages 28 through 225 in your agenda. And I'll just start out by saying If you've had a question about why some school systems that might be very large, have a small number of schools that were evaluated, that goes back to my first point back in 2016 when we decided to use that differentiated maintenance schedule for those school systems that had traditionally over the last 10 years had excellent maintenance. We did not view as many schools in their portfolio because of that. So just thought I would give you that kind of a little bit of a cue set, Scott, and I'll now turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the council. Since 2007, the IAC has conducted maintenance inspections of selected LEA school facilities. This report describes the findings of the inspections conducted during fiscal year 2020. As we presented at our August IAC meeting, over the course of the past 2 years, the IAC has evolved its maintenance inspection process to become a maintenance effectiveness assessment. Beginning with fiscal year 2021, IAC staff are implementing new assessment, which focuses more on LEA's maintenance systems, processes, and accountability mechanisms. It focuses on the things that make a sustainable and direct impact on teaching and learning and on the longevity of building systems and facility lifespan. We want to help LEAs address first the things that have the greatest negative impact on education and that divert funds from other important needs. In addition, the new assessment uses web-based technology both in recording the assessment and in sharing the results with the LEAs for the responses and follow-up. With the new assessment, LEAs can provide evidence that deficiencies have been corrected and thereby improve their assessment score for a facility. Because the new and improved assessment is quite different from and more stringent than the old assessment, the results in the fiscal year 2021 annual report will not be directly comparable to those of past years, including fiscal year 2020. We anticipate that the annual report for fiscal year 2021 will therefore look a bit different as well. As fiscal year 2020 is the first year the IAC has had 3 full-time assessors, more maintenance assessments were able to be completed than in previous years. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, the IAC assessors were not permitted access to school facilities in order to complete maintenance assessments, starting March 13th, 2020 through the end of the fiscal year, resulting in 112 planned assessments being postponed till fiscal year 2021. The IAC was still able to complete 260 assessments in fiscal year 2020, which is 29 more than we completed in fiscal year 2019. If the IAC is to have the capacity to assess approximately 1/4 of all pre-K through 12 school facilities each year, we will need to hire additional assessors. Within the 260 assessments conducted in fiscal year 2020, the majority of schools received either good or adequate overall ratings. Most school facilities appeared to be adequately maintained with regard to their interior lighting, interior walls, interior doors, skylights and monitors, site utilities, electrical service equipment, and air conditioning. In contrast, our assessors found that site and site structures, roof conditions, ceilings, and restrooms and plumbing fixtures need additional maintenance attention. IAC staff will continue to work closely with LEA maintenance leaders to support them in deploying solutions that will help the LEAs improve maintenance of their facilities and thereby better support teaching and learning. The IAC's new maintenance effectiveness assessment will be a powerful tool for this work. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Any questions? Secretary McCord.
I have one, Madam Chair. Yes, I'm just wondering, we have a summary of the number of schools that we have, and we have the summary. It's on page 6. It has the number of school facilities and the average age of the school facilities. I wonder if there's a way we could consider including the square footage somewhere in either this report or a separate report. So when we can start refocusing our attention on total cost of ownership, we can keep an eye on that square footage number. And it might be helpful at some point to include a column for square footage, either of what we assessed or what the total square footage is of all the schools. This report is done very well. There is an easy way to look at everything by school. Maybe one of the little balls where you have, but for each of the schools, each of the systems, you have the number of active schools, you have the square feet throughout the 21 schools. But if we can see as the IAC that information that's in the balls in one place, I think it would be helpful to us to make comparisons, because by the time I look at Allegheny and then hit to Worcester, I've lost the concept of how many square feet we're talking about. I don't know if I've missed that, then you can correct me. But
Yes, Madam Chair, if I could, Secretary McCord, yes, we can absolutely do that. Ms. Eberhardt had also asked if we could add the average age of a facility also when we take a look at that. And in addition, we plan to survey all of the LEAs in their comprehensive maintenance report and determine what their level of resources are as far as number of electricians, number of custodial, number of maintenance people in general of different trades, and compare that against the International Facilities Management Association and the Association of Physical Plant Professionals and their recommended standards, which I think we're far below. But we'll want that information and also develop a baseline of the average of the LEA's resources throughout the state, so that we will not only give you what the square footage, resource level, average ages of that facility, but be able to give you a snapshot on our reports of how the current facility we're looking at and that LEA compares to those averages.
So thank you. I appreciate that. The information that you presented and the way that it's presented, it's easy to follow. It's in no way incomplete. I just wanted to comment that I think it's been a great job. Page 16 will give you kind of a snapshot look of the distribution of that square footage across the state. But it's not the easiest way to have everything put together to make sure people are understanding when we're moving to total cost of ownership. My suggestion is we get that weaved in. We will have this woven in so that we can have people start to understand that the cost and the square feet are making a difference. So that's my comment. Thank you very much. Appreciate the report.
Other
Thank you. And Madam Chair, there is a motion on this particular.
Yes,
we need to adopt it.
Thank you for that reminder. Do you want to read the motion, please, Scott?
Madam Chair, I can. I don't know if Scott is prepared to.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Bob, please.
Okay. To approve the final draft of the IAC's fiscal year 2020 report on the maintenance of Maryland's public school buildings, dated October 1, 2020, pending non-substantive edits by staff.
All right. We have a motion on the table. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Gloria Lawler.
All right, Senator Lawler has moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Ms. Eberhardt. All in favor, please show or say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Crystal, can you affirm the vote?
The vote has been ratified.
Thank you so much. All right, now we're going to move on to section 4 of the agenda, which is Cecil County Public Schools CIP reversion. And we're going to invite Wanda Asensio, our finance and business manager, to present this item, which is located on page 226 of your agenda. Good morning, Wanda.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and board members. I will be presenting Cecil County Gilpin Manor Elementary Amendment. On August 12, 2020, Cecil County Public Schools submitted a request to have the Gilpin Manor Elementary School Replacement Project contingency reserve for change orders be reverted, and that all change orders for this project be funded at the local level. Staff recommends that the IAC approve the reversion of the unused balance and the allocation in the same amount to the Cecil Manor Elementary School HVAC project, partially funded in the FY 2021 Capital Improvement Program. Approval of the amendment to the FY 2021 Capital Improvement Program will increase the current project allocation for Cecil Manor Elementary School from $22,987 to $312,544, and reduce the remaining state future obligation from $1,594,213 to $1,281,669. The motion to approve a request from Cecil County Public Schools is 1, to revert the unused project contingency for change orders in the amount of $289,557 from the Gilpin Manor Elementary School Replacement Project, PSC number 07-016-17-18-19, local plan and construction, to the statewide reserve appropriation account for Cecil County Public Schools. That's the first motion. The second motion is to amend the FY 2021 Capital Improvement Program by allocating the $289,557 held in the statewide reserve appropriations account for Cecil County Public Schools to the Cecil Manor Elementary HVAC project, PSC number 07-030-1921, systemic renovations.
Thank you, Wanda. Is there any objection to taking those two motions together since they are concomitant? Okay, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Gibbons. Second.
Gloria Lawler, second.
Second by Senator Lala. All in favor, say or show aye.
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 Crystal, can you validate the vote? Oh, I'm sorry, any opposed or abstentions? Now, Crystal, can you validate?
Yes, the vote has been validated.
Thank you so much.
Well, so you're muted, Madam Chair. Jay, can you try to unmute the chair, please?
I'm fine.
Okay,
I just, with so many different screens up, it's hard to find the little button. So sorry,
Yes,
I apologize. We're all getting better at this virtual meeting thing, including myself, but I still stumble once in a while. We now are going to have our normal report on Baltimore City on the progress. And so I'm going to invite Jamie.
And Madam Chair, we really have nothing new to report.
Oh, okay.
But because you asked us to come back at every meeting and give you an update, since we met only 3 weeks ago, we don't have any new information.
Okay.
We still have Jamie come up if you have any questions.
Okay. Are there any questions from anybody about the progress that we have been looking at on Baltimore City? All right, seeing none, we'll conclude the meeting, but I would like to take a personal privilege and tell everybody about the fantastic school visit that I had on Monday, on Tuesday in Caroline County. The governor and I were able to visit North Carolina High School, Lockerman Middle School, and Denton Elementary School, where we were able to see students back in the classroom and interact with them. And it was just really an absolutely fantastic beginning of the school year. But what I wanted to really share with you is both of us had the opportunity to do the walkthrough of Greensboro Elementary School construction. And this is the very first new school in Caroline County in the last 40 years. So their community is so excited about this new school, and I will tell you, it is absolutely fantastic. And we got to see really the whole layout of the school, because it's the steel and the bricks and mortar are up. Lots of things to do. The school will be finished in the end of June. And I hope that many of us can attend the celebration of that school opening, since this IAC was a big part in making this school possible. So I want to thank all of you for your work and your support of Caroline County. This is a very poor county who in the 70s, when I was actually teaching there, now you all know how old I really am. You can do the math. But anyway, all the schools were new in the 70s, because the superintendent then, Mr. Wilbur Hoopengardner, took advantage of state money, and he built new schools. And interestingly enough, they were all open space schools. So as we did our tours, especially of Lockerman and Denton, the governor got to see how now we are closing those open spaces in very creative ways. And it was a very interesting and uplifting visit. But I wanted to thank the IAC for their support of Greensboro Elementary School. And I know that if Bob, if any of your team wants to have a visit, I know that Dr. Salins would be more than happy to open up that possibility. Whiting and Turner is the construction company. They do excellent work. They're wonderful people, and I'm sure they would welcome folks that would like to visit. So just wanted to finish on an upbeat way, and I think it's just wonderful to see progress going forward. And I want to thank everybody for today's meeting. And now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Gibbons, thank you. Second? Mr. Lombardo, thank you very much. All in favor, please show or say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? I'm still waiting for that to happen at a meeting, but it hasn't yet. All right, thank you, everybody. Please stay safe, please stay well, and we'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.